Hi, welcome everybody. It's Mike Newton down here at Leertham Golf Academy, and we're just in the fitting studio here. We're going to have a little look at whether you're going to fill this long iron gap, whether it's going to be a crossover or possibly a hybrid. So just using Ping for example here, they offer a crossover iron, which is like a sort of driving iron in a way, with a little bit of technology from a hybrid, but obviously in that iron sort of package. And then obviously they do offer a standard sort of hybrid club. So we're going to look at maybe these two clubs, both at 19 degrees of loft. Okay, they're both for number 3, and this is possibly an area of the game or area of your bag that you'd be looking at to maybe try and help you sort of get those second shots possibly from the fairway or into the green, maybe off the tee option, long par 3s, maybe short par 4s, tight holes. You'd possibly use these clubs off the tee. So we're going to maybe just have a little look at, see how these particular clubs fly. Does the iron fly a little bit lower than the hybrid? We'll generally think so, but actually does that happen? So I'm going to hit bash shots with both clubs here, and we're going to see maybe which one possibly you could go and look at to fill that long area of your golf bag. Okay, so going to start off with the 3 hybrid here. So Ping G400, number 3 hybrid, 19 degrees of loft. Got this in a stiff flex. Okay, and I'm just going to hit maybe 5 shots with a hybrid, and then we're going to look at some numbers and see how the crossover flies against it. Let's get this first one hit. Okay, so there's 5 shots hit with the hybrid there. Felt really solid. Typically what I would expect to see with a hybrid for me is that ball turnover a little bit more left, and there was maybe 3 out of those 5 did go a little bit more left there. So that's the only concern for me as a hybrid, and it can be for maybe a lot of golfers out there. So let's switch over in the crossover. 5 shots with that, then let's look at some numbers in a little bit more detail of how that or those 2 clubs perform. Okay, so crossover in our hands here now. So obviously a very different look behind that golf ball. More of that iron look, but obviously beefed up and bulked up a little bit more. So it does look very forgiving, very easy to hit, a big club face to hit. Exactly the same shaft, stiff flex again. Ooh, that's a nice flight. A little bit lower straight away we're seeing there. Okay, so we'll hit the last 4 balls here, and then we're going to look at some numbers. Right, okay, so let's have a look at some numbers in more detail here. So we've got the 3 hybrid on the bottom in the blue, and then we've got the crossover in the red. So let's look at the hybrid first. So ball speed at 143 as average, launching at 13 degrees and spinning at 4,200 there. So quite a high spinning sort of club for me there. So looking at peak height there, peaked at 36 yards, so obviously quite high, carrying at 219 as an average. Now looking at sort of dispersion a little bit there, I did get a couple going a little bit left. I did push one out to right with that, but generally, very saw that high ball flight basically. So looking at crossover here on the top, so again look at the averages and comparing it against the hybrid here. So 142, so only 1 mile an hour less ball speed there. You can see an absolute rotter of a strike at that 133 there. That was an awful shot, to be honest. See that massive drop off there. But launching there at 11.7, so you can see a good, degree and a half less launch there with exactly the same loft. Okay, so obviously the way that CG is positioning, so with the crossover, got to be more forward towards that club face because the head's obviously narrower from front to back. So that's going to try and get that launch down a little bit more, and we're definitely sort of seeing that. In terms of spin, just about 300 revs lower on the spin number, so not massive difference of spin there. I'd say that rotter strike there did get my spin going up a little bit high, so probably if I kept a normal strike in there, you're probably averaging around maybe 3.7, 3.8 possibly there, come down a touch more. So peak height there at 31 yards, so 5 yards lower, so a different ball flight there, carrying at 220 there. Again, that maybe edging 225. We'll get rid of that poor strike in there. So yeah, so hitting a similar sort of number there with a very similar ball speed, but obviously a very different launch and spin number and peak height. Right guys, so there we have it, the crossover against the hybrid there. So obviously two clubs hitting a similar sort of yardage number there. So if you've got that depending on what you do with that long iron, because obviously this could be a 4 hybrid against a 4 crossover, or even a 5 against a 5, etc. So obviously this is done on a 3 here, so it's really identifying where that long iron goes. So if your long iron is a 4 iron, I think what I would do in a gapping session here is hit that 4 iron first, get a carry number on that, because obviously you want this 3 to then give you that next sort of gapping on that you would sort of see through your set of irons, basically to fill and bridge that gap really nicely. Now it depends on really what we're seeing here is how high or how low you want this ball flighting, and obviously maybe that might sort of dictate more on the golf course you play at. So if you play maybe a windier golf course, you probably want that crossover slightly lower on that ball flight to keep it down a little bit more. If you play maybe a bit more of a parkland course and the greens are maybe a little bit more receptive, you could possibly go more higher flights, so hitting a shot into a green. The hybrid probably have a little bit of an edge there because it's got to come in a little bit steeper and stop a little bit quicker when it comes into land. So I think you've got to really adapt this as to the golf course you play at, the conditions you play in generally, and then maybe also your influence. You know, some of you may put hybrid down and just have loads of confidence of that, get it up in the air. Bingo, it does a job, fills you with confidence, happy days. Others may look at hybrid and what I generally see is the better player, like for instance myself there, I'm scared of that going left. Okay, hybrids have that tendency to move more left than anything, so I would like that more straighter, flatter face of the iron here. Definitely prefer that lower ball flight for me personally. So for me, it would be the crossover would win on there. So, but you know, again, it's one for you to go out and test yourself there, guys, and see which flight you prefer, which look you prefer, and which gives you the most confidence, and which obviously loft would sit in with your longest iron in your bag. Okay, some testing to be done there for you guys. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Appreciate watching the videos. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts on either of these. Have you got any of these in there? Have you got a driving iron against a hybrid? Why? Is the hybrid too high? Is it go left? You know, give me some feedback as to why you've got what you've got in your bag. I'm always interested to know what you guys are choosing and maybe the reasons why you're choosing, and have you gone through that fit-in, that gapping session to get to that process of that club in your golf bag. So thanks very much for watching. Do hit that subscribe button, much appreciated as always. Hit the bell icon to get notifications to any future videos. You'll be the first ones to watch it when they come live on the channel. Do follow my social media links, which are in the description down below, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.